bewegen, dich auf die Tanzfläche bewegen. Und nun geht es los.
You are listening to Däs Bündesliga Show here on the Lock Betting Podcast. You can follow Lock Betting on X at Lock Betting X. That's at Lock Betting X. I know I owe you guys a spreadsheet for March. That's going to come very, very soon. And then the April one will follow just a couple of days after. The reason being is because we had an issue with the February one. We had a play from January that we needed to put onto the February sheet, and I needed to check with the allocated adjudicator to see that we could do that, and that was allowed because it made no difference to whether we made a profit or not. Therefore, the 130-month record stayed intact. Because that took so long, we ran quite far into March. So what they've decided to do is just look at two spreadsheets at once, because it's just a lot easier to just run through two at once. So because of that delay, we're going to get March out very late, obviously, because we're now in May, but you will still see it. And then we're going to get April out a couple of days after that. So the two things will be adjudicated and verified at the same time, because that's how we do it. It's transparent and track profit, but it's also adjudicated and verified profit. But if you start sticking too many words in front of it, no one's going to say it. So it's transparent and tracked, verified and adjudicated, all of that, because it's legit. 131 months of profit. We did make a profit in March. We did make a profit in April, significant profit actually. That's all going to show up, and you will see those two spreadsheets. Both will have their time as the pinned tweet on the X account at LockBettingX. All the other spreadsheets are posted on the website lockbetting.com, and that's also where you can go if you want to sign up for your additional plays. So moving on with this edition of Däs Bündesliga Show, it's very difficult to do this show. There's not a lot on the line really in Germany. The points record is now unobtainable for Bayer Leverküsen, so they're really just playing to remain undefeated and say they're invincible. And they could now actually do this across all competitions. I genuinely now feel like they're going to win the Europa League. They overcame the hurdle of Roma. That was an incredibly impressive result. I think that's more impressive than the late equalisers they've got to remain undefeated. But I think now, after coming back against Stuttgart and coming back against Dortmund, the banana skins have been dealt with. And essentially, I do feel they will now finish undefeated. And I think they'll be undefeated in all competitions. And I think they will do the treble, which would make them the team of the season without doubt, and would make Xabi Alonso the manager of the season without question. Not that there was any doubt anyway. Even if they fell short in one of these competitions, just winning the league alone, I think, would be enough. But to be undefeated and then to be invincible across all competitions and to win all three, that would be absolutely incredible from Leverkusen. And now I think that they will go on to do that. So we don't have anything really much to talk about in that sense. And the top five, which is what it now will be, with Germany getting 5 places, that's already done. So there is no jeopardy for Borussia Dortmund finishing 4th or finishing 5th. They're going to be in the Champions League. So that's why I said it's a very, very difficult show to do, because we're kind of handicapping odds and ends and a lot of irrelevant stuff, and trying to work out who's going to be trying, who's going to be on the beach. So we're going to try to use those angles, use those situations, who's on the beach, who's not on the beach, who has something to play for, with still Europa League football on the line, teams trying to survive in this league, trying to avoid being in the relegation playoff or being automatically relegated, for example. As far as Darmstadt go, they're already down. So one relegation place has already been determined in this league. The champions have been determined in this league. The Champions League places have been determined in this league. So it's not the most exciting show that we do, but it is a show that we do. So let's just move on and do it. We begin with what would be the game of the weekend if there was really anything on the line here, as Stuttgart are hosting Bayern Munich. Stuttgart are rightfully the 6-5 favourites, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It's 3-1 on the draw, and it's 21-10 on Bayern Munich. Can a full-strength Stuttgart team who would like to take the scalp of Bayern Munich in front of their home supporters, in front of home supporters who bought tickets to see this game, and it would have been a big in-demand ticket because Bayern Munich are the big team in town, can this Stuttgart side beat a Bayern Munich team who are probably going to rotate their entire first 11? Now, given there are only 5 points between the two teams, I believe, yes, that could be the case. Now, I still think this will be a game that has goals in it, because these two teams only seem to play one way. Bayern Munich have a leaky defence, which they need to sort out ahead of their trip to Real Madrid. So we may see some of the defenders getting some minutes. But ultimately, I think the situation here is, can Stuttgart, who've had an incredible season, win against Bayern Munich in front of their home supporters who would have paid a lot of money for this ticket and would be really looking forward to this game? I think the answer is yes. I think Bayern Munich's head will be elsewhere. So for me, the rotated Bayern Munich team who are looking ahead to the game against Real Madrid will not pick anything up here in Stuttgart, and therefore Stuttgart at 6-5 plus 120 offers up some strong value here in this game. There's nothing to play for here for Stuttgart, but given that Stuttgart also don't have a Champions League game to look ahead to, and given that this is still a massive game and something that their supporters will be relishing, they would have been really looking forward to this game when they bought their tickets whenever they did, and it would have been a high ticket price as well, I imagine. I think everything here points towards Stuttgart. You still want to beat Bayern Munich on any given day of the week. They are still the number one team and the number one scalp in German football, and you want to beat them whenever you play them. And this is a great opportunity for Stuttgart. I don't think they'll care that Bayern Munich are rotating their team. The name Bayern Munich still carries value, and this Bayern Munich side will be completely focused on something else. This is just an obligation and a distraction, and one I don't think they're going to be too focused on. And I think Stuttgart will pick up the win here in this one, and therefore getting them here at 6-5 plus 120 on the money line is certainly a value play, in my opinion. Up next, we move on to the late game where Cologne are hosting Freiburg. Cologne here are the 6-4 favourites. It's 5-2 on the draw, and it's 2-1 here on Freiburg. Freiburg still have an outside chance of European football. They have an outside chance of the Europa League. They're 5 points behind Frankfurt. They are still well in contention for the Europa Conference League spot because they're level on points with Hoffenheim and are just 1 point clear of Augsburg. So this is still an important game for them. But Cologne, they're looking to avoid automatic relegation. And if they don't win this game, I think we can say goodbye to Cologne. And then we're essentially just looking at the final playoff spot, which could be one of Mons, Bochum, Union Berlin, or even Borussia Mönchengladbach, who have been sucked into it in recent weeks. But this is a must-win game for Cologne because of their situation. But that doesn't mean that they are going to win the game. And I'm heavily opposed to them actually being the favourites here to win it, which means that you can get Freiburg at 8-15 simply to avoid a defeat here. And you can get Freiburg in the draw no bet market, which pushes, if it's a draw, as a plus money selection at 6-5 plus 120. Now, Freiburg's home record is massively better than their away record, but they're coming up against an opponent here who are in the relegation zone for a reason. Cologne have lost 5 of their last 7 at home, And four of these losses have been by at least 2 goals. While Freiburg, they are on a 3-match winning streak away from home, which is rare for them because they are obviously better at home. But given that they have the form and given that they have the incentive, which is Europa Conference League football, I believe Freiburg are the better bet here to win this game. We get them at plus money, even with draw protection in the draw no bet market. And therefore, we are going to take that as our main selection here for this one. Up next, we jump across to Sunday and we cover another game that has implications at the bottom of the table as Union Berlin are hosting Bochum. Union Berlin are probably in a must-win situation here against Bochum, who themselves are still down there. So it's a 6-pointer. When you're looking at teams in 14th and 15th, who are 1 and 2 places above the relegation playoff position on the same number of points, this is the absolute definition of a 6-pointer game. Union Berlin are the even money favourites to win it. It's 12-5 on the draw and it's 3-1 here on Bochum. It would be a massive decline for Union Berlin to somehow find themselves relegated, or at least in a relegation playoff after playing in the Champions League this season. And I do feel that they will channel some version of themselves in this game to get themselves out of this relegation conversation. At home, they've been okay. They've picked up 20 of their 30 points this season at home, with 5 wins in their last 9 at home. Whilst Bochum, they don't travel well, and this will be their Achilles heel here because they are on a run of 9 without a win on the road, and they've lost 7 of those 9 games. So at the price, I'm willing to take Union Berlin. I think Union Berlin will get themselves safe as a result of this win, and we'll take them on the money line here at even money plus 100. Up next, you have Bayer Leverküsen travelling to Eintracht Frankfurt. Again, this is another difficult game. If Bayern Munich had still been in the title race, you would have circled this run with Dortmund, Stuttgart and Frankfurt as a sticky one. You would have said this is a difficult end to the season. And if Leverkusen aren't completely switched on here, they could still lose that invincible record. So they need to be careful with their team selection. They're lucky because the game against Roma does seem like they have it in hand. They won the first leg 2-0 in Roma. So they are now heavy favourites to make it through to the Europa League final. So I think they'll take this game seriously. They're the 13-10 favourites to win it. It's 21-10 here on Frankfurt, who are trying to confirm their Europa League status. And it's 5-2 here on the draw. With everything that I said, I don't think that Leverkusen can be complacent. While Eintracht Frankfurt themselves, they're unbeaten in their last 9 Bundesliga home games, winning 5. They've won 5 games on the spin at home to Leverkusen, who do not like coming here. Leverkusen have required stoppage time goals at Dortmund and against Stuttgart to maintain their 47-game unbeaten run. So this, for me, is a definite banana skin. I'm finding it difficult to make a play here. So I'm going to sort of stay away from the game a little bit. But because we do need to sprinkle something, I think this is one of those rare situations where you take a draw. Now, I've done very well taking draws. We should have landed a draw in the Dortmund PSG game in midweek, I feel. We did correctly take the draw in the game between Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. I thought both those Champions League games would be draws. And across the season, when we looked at these types of games where we can make cases for both, and I've taken draws, we have had a decent record with that. I would say probably somewhere in the region of 40 to 50%, which is decent when you're taking draws. So I think this could be another one here. Can't make a case for Leverkusen beating Frankfurt as they've been solid, particularly at home, whilst you can never make a case for anyone beating Leverkusen at the moment because 47 straight teams have failed, or there have been 47 unsuccessful attempts. Some teams have had 2 cracks at it, like they've managed to avoid defeat against Bayern Munich despite playing them twice, which is incredible. So 47 attempts have been made, nobody's won, and therefore we can't take a dog here, but we can take a draw at the price of 11-4 here for this one. We finish up with Heidenheim at home to Mons, where Heidenheim are the 2-1 home dogs. It's 13-5 on the draw, and it's 13-10 here on Mons. Heidenheim, they are safe. They've done very well to get themselves safe. They're safe on 34 points. Mons, they are just about in the relegation playoff places. 2 points behind Union Berlin and Bochum. And if Bochum do lose to Union Berlin, as we predicted in Mons, win this game, they will swap places with Bochum. So their motivation is high, which is why the books have them here as a favourite. I can't just blindly go with that, because I think it's one thing to say teams are on the beach when they travel. Sometimes teams don't travel well because the season's done. You have to travel, but you've got nothing to play for, and it's hard to get yourself up for the game. Supporters at home who have bought tickets can get you up for the game, even at this stage of the season. And particularly in Germany, where the support is very, very, very enthusiastic. So I do believe that Heidenheim are being disrespected here and could pick up something from this game where they are priced up as a home dog. Now, with Mons, the 13-10 or 6-5 favourite in some places, you can pick up Heidenheim at 4-6 minus 150 simply to avoid a defeat in this game. Heidenheim have avoided a defeat in 8 of their last 11 home matches, winning 4 of those, while Mons, they have lost 4 of their last 6 away Bundesliga games, yet come here as favourites. I think this is another game where you can make a case for the draw. But either way, I don't think Mons should be favourites. They've even got a couple of key players missing through suspension. So for me, the selection here has to be on Heidenheim to avoid the defeat. And I'm going to take them to avoid a defeat. Heidenheim plus half a goal. Heidenheim in the double chance market at the price of 4-6 minus 150 here for this one. Closing out with your lock on the show. It's always difficult to guess what team selection is going to be, but logically, Thomas Tuchel should not be putting out any of his first team players here for this game. So this is just a question of how good are Bayern Munich's second string players? Are any players here going to be playing for a realistic chance to get themselves into the team for Bayern Munich's trip to the Bernabeu? I don't think that will happen. I think Stuttgart will win this game. I think they'll be highly motivated to win this game. But at the end of the day, the reason why we're going to be conservative is because there is no real motivation for Stuttgart as far as points go, because Stuttgart are already confirmed in a Champions League position. Now, they may want to stay third, or they may even want to challenge Bayern Munich for second place, which is a possibility. Winning this game closes the gap between Bayern Munich and Stuttgart to just 2 points. So they still have something to play for if they are determined to finish second and finish ahead of Bayern, which would be a phenomenal achievement. But ultimately, they can't achieve any more in terms of what they're going to get from doing that. The Champions League is already secure. So for that reason, we are going to be slightly more conservative. We are going to scale back from the money line. And our selection here for this game is going to be Stuttgart minus a quarter of a goal. Now, what that means is if it's a draw, unlike draw no bet, you lose half of your money. It's not a full push, it's a half push. So once again, your lock here on this show is going to be Stuttgart minus 0.25. This wins if Stuttgart win the game. It loses if Bayern Munich win the game. It half loses if it's a draw. So you lose half your money. So if you're putting £100 down here on this game and it ends up being a draw, then you lose £50 out of 100. You win if Stuttgart win, and the odds for this are 19 to 20. So that's £195 back, with £95 of that being profit from a £100 stake. And as I mentioned, you lose if Bayern Munich win this game. But I'm willing to oppose Bayern Munich. I think they will be completely looking ahead to the game against Real Madrid. Stuttgart have been strong at home this season. The home supporters would be looking forward to this game. Bayern Munich, they don't want this game. This is nothing but a distraction. This is nothing but an obligation. And I think this is a very, very good spot to take Stuttgart. I would be taking the money line if Stuttgart actually had something to play for, but they don't. And for that reason, we take Stuttgart minus a quarter of a goal, and we take it at the price of 19 to 20. That's it for me. Good luck with all of your bets as always. And thanks for listening.